my eye. Through the mist, my surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of Orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how Orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Our guest today is fellow Orgone enthusiast Kimberly Manley. Kimberly worked for Starbucks for 15 years. It was a job, but it ruined her body as she received 2 work-related injuries, and she never fully recovered. Kimberly has always looked into holistic healing modalities. She tried them out and healed herself of many things. She had a son in 2010 and then retired when she had her daughter in 2015 so that she could be a stay-at-home mom and a homeschool teacher. This was always her dream, and she does not trust the systems or the schools. Kimberly has had many strange occurrences happen to her in her life. This led to her quest for this world, and she now lives in a great spiritual journey that comes in waves. Kimberly loves reading, researching, dot connecting, working with crystals, singing bowls, essential oils, bird communication, orgone making, and she's currently working on a crystal grid that will be all around the planet. Just trying to stay in love, spread love, really ground the Mother Goddess energies into the planet through her and her actions, and the grid work that she is a part of, which she calls the New Atlantis Grid. Kimberly is also a member of Connecting Consciousness. Welcome, Kimberly. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm dealing with smoke from fires and weird weather patterns and
those atmospheric heaters that are on.
Yeah, and there's just high strangeness going on in this world right now. But I'm like you. I've got a lot of spiritual connection. I've got my orgone generators. I've got my meditations that I do, and all of those so far are keeping me intact. So hopefully the same is true for you. I think it is.
Very. Mm-hmm. Yep, you have to build the arsenal because this world is so dense that, for the 10 things that come at you, you need 20 things to battle back with. And so, just taking the initiative and expanding, your holistic medicine cabinet and just addressing those issues right as they come and just getting on them and not letting them progress, so I have all those things too, and they are very helpful, Sometimes it's not just one, you need a crystal or an oil, or sometimes it's, just nature outside. So it's a different combo every time depending on what you're dealing with. And so, it's fun experimenting like a little scientist. You don't know unless you try, and that's what I like to teach my kids too, is just try it out. What does it hurt? You know, I mean, you ain't got nothing to lose, right? And if anything, you'll be impressed by the results half the time, you know, you'd be like, what? You know, so yeah, I like to do all the same things, you know.
I noticed that in your tool belt, you have pretty much all what I would consider energy medicine. So whether it's essential oils, whether it's orgone generators, whether it's crystals, whether it's singing bowls, all of these things are energy medicine, and they're not only powerful, but they also do no harm. You can't hurt anybody by using them correctly. I mean, yeah, if you hit someone over the head with your orgone generator, it would hurt, and you don't want to maybe drink a bottle of essential oil. But I'm talking about proper application. It's a harm none philosophy. It can't get any better than that. There's no side effects to worry about.
Yeah, that's what I like too.
So I mentioned in the introduction that you had some strange things or experiences happen to you in your life. Can you think of one or two that you want to share with the viewers today? Just whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I have quite a few random ones, you know. Since I was a kid, all kinds of strange anomalies or randomness that people don't talk about or can't be explained, so you don't really go around talking about it, you know. You just wonder if it's real or not. Sometimes, depending on where you're at, these things will happen. I'd have to say the most profound paranormal, supernatural energy thing, whatever you want to call it. I came into my journey of kind of waking up, the second wave of it. I was always, the first part of my spiritual wave growing up, I read a lot of Sylvia Browne books. And, you know, the things that she was talking about, and she was on Montel all the time. I don't know if you remember back in like the 90s, the 2000s, before the Montel show went on, he'd always have Sylvia Browne on. And I thought, this lady, oh my gosh, she's like crazy, right? Like, this crazy lady on TV, I got to go find out and read about this, you know. And reading her books, I looked for the contradictions, because the things that she's talking about, just normal people don't talk about or believe, or, you know, it's not really common knowledge. But she was more of like a Gnostic. She had a church, and she practiced more in like the Gnostic faith. And I read about 20 of her books and had a whole bunch of interesting things happen, started meditating, you know. I was raised Catholic. And so, but when I got a little older, like about teenagers, my mom started kind of showing us different churches to show us just that different people could believe different things and practice a different religion and kind of go to their church and experience it for the Sunday, you know. And I remember one time we went to this really Christian, like Black church, and I was just like, wow, these people are really into their faith, you know, like, not that white people aren't, or to classify it into any races or anything, but I was just like blown away sitting there like, wow, these people are like running up on stage, doing laps, like, so it was really eye-opening in that sense. And Sylvia Browne, looking for the contradictions, really didn't find any. Tried some of her things. She has a lot of great works out there, very interesting. She has this book called Phenomenon A to Z, and it has all these, you know, werewolves, aliens, things like this, you know. And there's actually an instance that happened to me, and I found it in her book. It was called a rapture, an ARPPTURE, I'm pretty sure. And I was sitting in a house. I'm actually going to tell you two stories. This is not the profound one, but this one was very interesting because there were other people in the house who didn't experience what I experienced. And so it led me to kind of research and try to find. It took me years to find this book and actually read it, you know, because this happened to me when I was about 17. But I was had just moved in with my grandmother, and we were sitting there, and I had my friend Eric, who's now my husband now. And we were sitting there, and my grandma was in her room. We're watching TV, we're hanging out. I'm in my room with my friend Eric, and we're just sitting there hanging out, and all of a sudden I hear this huge thunder through the house. It just like shook the house. It was a perfectly sunny day. I said, oh my God, did you hear that? There was this thunder. And Eric looked at me like, are you crazy, lady? I'm like sitting right here, there's no thunder. And I'm like, I'm telling you, like, what the heck was that? And I go to, we had these dog gates in the house, you know, for dogs. And so I go to my door, and right at the bottom of my door was this picture, and it was square in front of my door, and it had rolled 10 feet down the hallway and landed square. And I was like, what the heck, you know, like, asked my grandma, did you hear that noise? no one heard it. Perfectly sunny day, went outside. But living at her house, you know, there was other weird things. I think it was that location. Someone would knock on the door, no one would be there, that kind of thing, you know. Anyways, you know, so looking for this explanation, you know, what had happened. They hadn't experienced it. Loud thunder, perfectly sunny day, private cul-de-sac, no one around. It was pretty weird. So, you know, during my journey 6 years ago, to get back to, you know, I started kind of waking up, and, you know, collective evolution was a good one for it. You know, all the little posts that they do. And there was another website, I can't think of it right now, but they were another one. And, you know, I used to be on Facebook, and I, at the time, was reading Behold a Pale Horse. And I was watching these random documentaries, you know, and just kind of like, you know, I watched the documentary about the real Rick Ross because I like rap and classical. What a weird combination, right? So the real Rick Ross, you know, it was about, well, people can go watch the documentary, but very interesting, eye-opening. You know, I started posting these things and noticing, you know, 6 years back that Facebook had started censoring my things, you know. They would give people on my feed all these other, like, you know, big long paragraphs of what they were thinking for, and I'd get like a sentence in there, you know, or they would just shuffle it, or it just wouldn't be in there. And I just went off Facebook after, you know, my daughter was about 6 months old. I started to see, you know, that I was being censored. I was starting to post Cobra's mass meditations for 2012.portal.blogspot.com, and just weird stuff. And so, you know, I came across Cobra, and I really resonated with this gentleman. He just seemed really pure in his intent, and his meditations, you know, they were just about global peace and love and uniting the world and really coming together and battling that dark energy with our good, focused, united light. You know, at certain astrological times, you know, and alignments where the dark uses it, well, we better get on the ball and start using it for the good, because there is that magic or that energy, like I like to say, you know, it never leaves, it just goes somewhere else, you know. That's what we're kind of taught, you know. And so, you know, I started getting censored, and I was doing these meditations, and I thought, he posted about these Sintomanis, and I thought, oh my God, I have to have one of these Sintomanis, you know. I'm really feeling like I really need to work with this crystal. So I got a Sintomani, or actually I was telling my husband about how I was coming across this Orgone and Sintomanis and just this new world that I was like learning about, and just having my whole world rocked. I mean, I just had a baby, I was breastfeeding, I was tired. It was very intense. It was very raw and enlightening and just refreshing to actually have answers to all these questions that we've always had. But everyone just plays the dumb card, or you know, sloughs you off, and you're like, I want answers. Like, tell me how those pyramids were built. You know, don't play games. So I think we're just tired of the big question mark all the time, and no real way to move forward as a global society, and wanting to just, you know, evolve. That's the natural state of energy in life, is just that progression forward, that movement, like water, you know, and we're the water, you know. And I was telling my husband I had to have this Sintomani, and so he, lo and behold, actually had ordered me for Christmas a Sintomani and some Orgone. The Sintomani had been in the house, I didn't know it, and it was a Christmas gift. Well, I don't know if you remember back in 2015, it was the Christmas of the full moon, which hasn't happened in a very long time. I think it's due again in like 20 years or so. And it was solstice, and I was sitting here feeding my daughter. I was breastfeeding her on the couch, and I thought I felt these slight rumbles and heard a jingle on my shelf. And I thought, because I was sitting down at the same time, and I thought, I usually don't make that jingle when I sit down with her, you know, like, was that an earthquake or something? And so I just sat there for a minute. There was another slight rumble. And I thought, oh, wow. 2 earthquakes, right? They were back to back. This started between 10 and 10:22, I think, on the solstice, which was December 21st or 22nd. I can't remember which day. And I was sitting here, and I thought, I'm going to get up, put the baby to sleep. I'm going to go wake my husband up, and I'm going to tell him about these earthquakes. As I'm walking to the bedroom, I was getting ready to make the motion to put her down like this. And this third earthquake had rumbled through, and it was so intense. It had actually rumbled through this way. I felt it coming, and it was the larger of the earthquakes. I think it was like it was between a 3.5 and a 4.1. 4.3, I can't remember which it was. And as soon as it reached my feet, this intense heat energy just shot right up my body. As soon as it hit my daughter, just ding, she wakes up, we deadlock eyes like, whoo, energy shoots out my head. And I thought, whoo, am I gonna catch on fire? I think I'm gonna, what was that? I've never experienced anything like this. I've never met anything happen to. It was very, very life-changing, I would have to say. That intense, raw energy. No one ever, you feel earthquakes, okay? No one expects to feel the energy. You as like a pinpoint just shoot right up through you. It was very refreshing and intense, and it had this warm heat to it. I mean, I don't want to say I thought I was going to catch on fire, but I did, you know. Almost like, I almost had that vision of those people who combust. You hear those myths, you know, combustible people. So, you know,
spontaneous combustion.
Yeah. And, you know, the location this had happened to, I'd actually had 2 other occurrences linked up with it, and later thinking about it, I thought was really strange as well. You know?
Oh, you just faded. Your voice just faded. Could you repeat that last sentence again?
Yeah, you know, there was 2
Perfect.
other instances where, you know, events that had happened that were linked to the same location in my house. And so that was kind of interesting as well. I had a dream prior to this. 2 years before I had gone off work, I had started getting this pulsing sensation in my toe. I thought nerve or something, and I did come down with plantar fasciitis after my daughter, you know, being pregnant, blowing the feet out, working and all that. But it was different. It went from my toe, this heat pulsing sensation, it went up into my thigh. And it was in my left thigh. And I told my mom, my husband, people were, can you feel that? I mean, put your hand right there, my thigh. It's like vibrating. It's like warm. Can you feel it? No, I don't feel nothing. I'm like, okay, well, it's in my body, right? So, you know, 6 months later, it goes to my right thigh. So I'm like, all right, you know, okay, right thigh, it's in the right thigh now, you know. Well, about 6 months later, I had this dream, and I was hovering in my daughter's room where this earthquake had happened. And I was hovering in the dream, and out of my right thigh was these electrical pulses and this energy and these little sparks just shooting out. And just, I looked down and I was like, wow, what's going on as I'm like hovering there, you know? And then lo and behold, I have the Centimani in the mail on the full moon, you know, with the solstice, winter solstice. And yeah, just really, really strange when you link it all up, you know, the earthquake traveled right through the body in the same exact spot. And it was while I was breastfeeding, you know, so I think that's like that motherly, you know, really activating that essence within the home, within the energy spot on the location, you know, because I mean, I like to douse and stuff, you know, and I have a lot of Orgone in my field. So sometimes, you know, it's a little crazy when you go to douse or certain pieces, you know, but we don't really know what energy spots we're all living on, you know. So it's just interesting. And that would be the most profound, life-changing, strange event. But there's been a few others along the way, you know. So I'd have to say that was one, though.
Sounds wonderful. Actually, a lot of people don't realize that lightning actually originates in the earth and travels up. It appears to flash in the sky, but actually comes from the earth. So,
very
you know,
interesting.
So I actually think that, and the other thing too is I don't believe in coincidences. I do believe in synchronicities.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that that was something you needed to open up a certain aspect of you so that you could do the work that you're here to do. And those of us that are here to do the work, and we know that we're here to do the work. I'll just give you a little example. I used to always worry, what's my life purpose? Why am I here?
Aren't we all doing that?
Before my big awakening. And then when I found out, it was so simple. I was so relieved. I have other jobs, but my basic job was to love and allow others to love me. That is my prime directive. I went, oh, that's awesome. I can do that. But once we start opening up and we are of service to the universe or the omniverse even, we have these amazing things happen. We get healings, we get knowings, we get sensations, we get all kinds of things. Of course, we can't really talk about it much because people think we're crazy, but it doesn't mean that it's not real. It's absolutely real and valid. And I think really important. I think that those of us that are maintaining the grid on Earth, not just through our Orgone distribution, but also just by being who we are, we have a tremendous importance and a tremendous effect. And I just really want to applaud you for not, I know a lot of people end up having family members take them for psychiatric evaluation. They end up on all these lobotomizing pills. I don't want to take it off too much on a tangent here. I actually want to bring it back, and I really want to hear about your bird communication, because I communicate with plants. So to me, bird communication is like, of course you do. Awesome. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I'd have to say, you know, a lot of people on my journey, waking up, you know, and wanting to do something about it, not just hearing all the stories, researching, connecting, you know, Carrie Cassidy, amazing. Alfred Redway, amazing. Miles Johnston, amazing. I mean, James Rink, amazing. These people have done the work. You just need to go watch it. Open your mind. Think they're crazy. Go look it up. I mean, you will be quite shocked at the evidence that you find out there. And my mother-in-law, she always says, she's so cute. She's like, you can find whatever you want on the internet, Kimberly. And I'm like, yeah, but when they come with U.S. patents and things like this, you know, and classified documents, project names, I mean, how can we deny this, you know? I mean, there's court documents, there's cases that have been won and not honored. I mean, there's people who are locked up, you know, like, and so my thing was, I just wanted to do something about it, not sit there and just think, oh, poor me, oh, poor kids, we're, you know, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, you know? Not on my watch. It's not for my children. That's not what I plan to leave them. You know, when we were growing up, we were told all these fantastic things we would have when we got older, you know, eating dinner out of a pill and flying cars and all. We ain't nowhere. All we got is cell phones, really, if you think about it. I mean, come on. I mean, but you can call your phone and turn your air conditioner on. We really don't have that much tech compared to the military industrial complex, you know, where it's all at. And so making Orgone was my solution. And I'd have to say, once you start making this, I mean, it's a great creative outlet. I highly recommend everyone making it themselves, because then your piece will resonate with you more, and you'll program it more specifically to you. But the bird communication came, a lot of weird things came when I started making the Orgone and really trying to hone in and do something, work with crystals, work with the Tibetan bowls and the frequencies. And the bird communication just kind of popped up. I had these crows show up, and I would start talking to them, just caw, 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 you know, and good morning to you, like just singing to them in the morning. And it was a male and a female, and it was just great. I talked to him, and one day I thought, I'm gonna ask him his name. And you know, out just saying my good mornings, I thought, hey, what's your name? In my head. And he said, Tommy. And I said, all right, cool. I thought, was my right side talking to my left side of the brain? Is it really Tommy? Did I just like, first name that popped in my head, I just made it up, right? So I just sat with it for a little while, you know, and go on about my day and my business. And this is kind of how it works for all the birds. I've had about 6 or 7 birds. It's a lot of the, I've had all the raptor birds come visit me. There's 4 in the raptor family. But these crows, they come back every year and they nest and they build their tree, their nest for my tree that's, you know, Orgone energy. And, you know, in life, how it'll present itself, I'll come across situations or conversations or TV things where, you know, the world's talking to you. And if you're listening or paying attention, you'll catch it. But my stepdad went to tell me a story about his Uncle Tom, you know, my Uncle Tom. And I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. You bring up your Uncle Tom story right about now, you know. So I just kind of just said, okay, you know. And then another story had come up, and the name Tom was it, you know. And I thought, that's weird. That's twice that name's come up, and I haven't heard that name like all year, really, you know. And then a third time it had happened. So I thought, oh, this bird's name's really Tom, right? So I was telling her, this bird's name's Tommy, you know. And the mom, she's real quiet. I call her Mama Bird. My son named her Grace. And, you know, they come back every year, and they nest on our block, and it was fun working with them, talking to him. He comes and checks on me all the time. He'll follow me to the store. They'll go to the bank with me. They'd go take my kids to school with me across the street. You know, I had my son in kindergarten his first year in a real school before I homeschooled. And yeah, it was just great. I've had hawks and owls and crows. And, you know, doing this gridding, another interesting short story I'll give you is I went down to Las Vegas on a family trip to go check on my sister-in-law and spend some time. And I thought, I'm gonna show her to make some Orgone there. So we made some Orgone. It's really hot in Vegas, so temperature sometimes affects the curing. So not all the Orgone turned out. A lot of it stayed liquid. It's so freaking hot there, and I even made it at night. So, you know, I got about 5 pieces out of it, and I gridded a line from Vegas back up here to Reno when we were driving. One place that I had selected to grid is the Crescent Dunes Solar Reserve. It's right outside Tonopah. It's this huge erect tower with all these solar panels around it. And I mean, this mirror on this thing, you can see it for 2 hours driving there, you're like, wow, when am I gonna get to it? So, you know, on the way down, I thought, oh, I'm gonna grid that, right? So on the way back up, I gridded. We were driving down the dirt road to go grid it. And on the way back, it's funny because every time I grid the animals, they'll tell me where to grid. And I follow them. What do I know, right? They live on that Mother Earth more than I do and are more connected than some, you know, we try in these cities and stuff, but, you know, so wherever they show up, they're telling me I want the piece there. And when you go to grid, it's actually all very spiritual and profound and just very interesting in the synchronicities. And this raven had showed up after we had gridded, and we were driving back out the dirt road right before we hit the real road to get back on to continue going home. And this raven was so huge, it just flew right over the car. I said, look at that. I mean, I just get so amazed every time I see the animal show up. It's just like, your heart just like flutters and opens. You're like, wow. I mean, these things are connecting. And now every time my sister-in-law goes to call, email, come up here to town, these ravens will come over my house and they will tell me that, you know, she's going to be ringing or coming or calling. And it's just very interesting that they show up. So they're like the raven family now, you know? But yeah, and they'll come check on me. You know, Tommy, we had a fire here, and I told him when he came back this year, you know, we lost 2 cats. My cat and the neighbor's cat. I think we got some neighbor owls over here. And so I think in the winter, you know, they got the kitties. So when the crows showed up this year, they showed up in my tree, come to say hi to me and tell me they're here for their nesting season. And I said, oh, no. You can't be on this block. They've been on this block for about 5 years. They keep picking a different tree right here in our cul-de-sac. And I said, no, you can't come here. You know, the owls here, they're really, you'll just have a real hard time, you know, go pick a different street down a little bit, you know. And it's kind of sad because they weren't here to work with too much this summer, but I got chickens. So chickens are my bird this summer to work with. So progression moves on.
Wow. You know, I'm a firm believer that we're all connected, and communicating across species is much easier than what we thought. I mean, even the plant communication, I just kind of started talking to my plants and nearby plants. I already told you, I'll just tell quick, I basically was communicating with some trees that were growing up behind my apartment building. Their branches, as I communicated with them, grew closer and closer to my balcony. Nobody else, all the line of trees, all the way across the back of the apartment, they didn't grow towards anyone else's balcony, just mine. And unfortunately, I felt really bad because I'd encouraged them to come towards me, and then somebody went and cut them all down, and I was devastated that someone chopped down all my friends. But once you have that level of sensitivity, we can tap into other species, other living things, but even tap into crystals, even tap into, like, I believe with crystals, there's a whole huge component to them that we don't see, that's not in the third dimension, that's in the fourth and fifth and sixth dimension. Anyway, the crazier I get and the more I communicate and practice and do this kind of thing, the more satisfying, rewarding, and miraculous my life becomes. So I'm so happy I found you.
Yeah.
And so I just want to back up just a little bit and ask you, I know you sort of told us how you got started with Orgone, but can you just sort of lay that out a little bit simply for us before we go into my next question?
Yeah, sure.
How did it happen for you? I know how it happened for me. I got clear instruction from my guides to look it up. I didn't even know what it was. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, I want to make that about your story.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were instrumental in, you know, all those endless hours of breastfeeding. You know, I watched a lot
I
of
breastfed
YouTube.
too, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I did it for 3 years, and it was worth every second of it. But man, I wanted to actually make this like breastfeeding line of T-shirts because like I was just so inspired, and like I remember one shirt I thought of as like, you know, I'm breastfeeding, or I'm making breast milk right now. What are you doing? Like, you know. Like,
Oh, I'm a firm believer in breastfeeding. I breastfed one of my children for 2 years, the other one for a year and a half. My daughter had twins last year, and I went and stayed with her to help her get her breastfeeding started, initiated. The babies are over a year old. She's still breastfeeding. I'm so proud of her.
yeah.
And in a world where people act like there's something wrong with us if we do the most natural, healthy, beautiful thing, and
Yeah.
we're changing the world in the future by breastfeeding, and we get treated like we're some kind of oddballs. But anyway, I don't want to get off too much on a tangent. So what is there a specific point where you went, I'm going to make this stuff. This stuff is for me. Like, what did it for you?
Well, can you?
Okay,
Just
hang on a
froze. Can you
second.
speak?
Hang on a second. You're cutting in and out. I'm sorry, it's a Zoom issue. Just give it a sec to clear it. Now start again. Sorry, I want to make sure everyone hears what you have to say. Oh, shoot.
Okay. Well,
There
I
you
would
are.
have to say
Okay.
a lot of people. Is it there?
Yeah, you're good
Okay.
now.
So a lot of people, you know, reading about them and the work that they've done with the interviews, you know, it was very inspiring, and just sort of to honor their work. You know, people like Ted Gunderson and Cobra and Carrie Cassidy, you know, I mean, they didn't do this just to give you the information, but maybe hopefully so you could take initiative and open your mind a little bit. And you know, it's great to talk and to listen, but action part is where it comes in. That's where the difference comes, and that's where we're going to get the result, is us taking that and running with it. And you don't have to make Orgone, it could be anything, you know, whatever you're interested in. I believe it's just in the creation process, actually. I noticed that to be home with my daughter and actually start to work with the crystals and the frequencies of the Tibetan bowl and the Orgone, and lay down and put that medicine bowl on you and ding it. I mean, be amazed, put the water in, experiment, get the kids out, you know. I mean, it's awesome that I homeschool, because such an advocate of homeschool, because I'm not restrained by so many things, and our world is so much more open. And when this coronavirus happened, it didn't affect us as much. It has a little bit, but not in the sense of, you know, kids got pulled out of school, but my kid kept schooling on because he was already had his stuff to finish and do, and things that he was working on. And so, you know, in that aspect, it was great. But I chose to make Orgone, and I'd actually received, my husband had ordered some Orgone with the Sintamani, but it hadn't come. If you do start making Orgone, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've got the helicopters, I've got the aircraft that pop in, or the UFOs, or, you know, whoever's out there, they be coming and checking or monitoring your frequencies when you change the grid or something. Like, for instance, you know, I have the smoke. We have about a half-mile visibility with all this smoke for the past like 2 months. It's devastating here in Reno. It's bad. Your eyes burn. You can't breathe for too long. We can't go outside. We can't use our sprinklers for the kids. Feeling, you know, I can't wait till it's over. You know, but you know, I make a lot of tech, actually, of the Orgone bubble tech. I like trying all the different things, and you know, just checking it all out, you know. And I'll still have a little blue sliver of sky over my house where it pierces, and it's filtering some of that smoke for the area. and I'll still get clouds even in the middle of it. I can see them barely. I can still see the blue sky a little, but when you look around, and I'll go to other spots where I have, like, you know, my mother-in-law, or a lot of my family has our pieces, big pieces, and same thing. It's got a little sliver of that blue. You can still see it through the smoke, and it's just very interesting, you know. So I always love to go outside. The wildfires are awful, but I love going outside and checking the bubble tech, like, is it filtering through and filtering, and it is every time, you know. And it's fun to watch the atmosphere. But that was my thing, was just honoring those people with the work that they've done, and those whistleblowers that have come out and tried to give us the message. You know, I'm just a little old me. You know, you think you can't do much, but you really can. You know, just go out there and create something. Paint. I love painting. So if you love knitting, knit something. I mean, just, it's endless. And as you create, I noticed we've kind of lost that today as a society or a people. In different cultures, it's more prominent. But it's really been shoved down a little bit, your creativeness. And I just feel as though, you know, being able to be at home breastfeeding and being a mom and homeschooling and learning all this new life and playing with my stuff, and it was just all so great, because I was like, I'm gonna make this Orgone, you know, I'm gonna do it myself. I mean, it's cheaper when you make it yourself. It's fun. It's a creative outlet, and as you discharge that creativeness, it's almost like through your creation energy, you don't have that buildup of like electrical pulses that might be channeled into pain. And so, you know, being around all the devices that we're around and not creating, which we're intended to do, we're created from love and from an act of love. And then to not go out and create love, I think your being is almost like it's on overload or overcharge. The same thing as when you need to go out and ground to the planet. You need to go out and paint, knit, do something fun, be a kid again. It's not all serious, let's go to work. You know, I mean, I know we do have to do and play the 3D game, you know. My husband plays it for us, so we can kind of, you know, 1 loss to them and 3 over here. So, you know, we're slowly be off of that system, you know. The more that we create and the more that we go find what we love to do and do it, just do it. And teach your kids to do it. We have them, some of this resin, it really is terrible, the off fumes of it. So, you know, how my kids go out sometimes and throw their crystals in, or sometimes I'll end up with a resin that doesn't fume off as much. And it's just fun to have that kid energy and have them create their own piece, and that's theirs, you know, that's for them. So just creating certain pieces for, my son had night terrors really bad, and trying to figure that whole thing out, you know, and I made him a special piece, and it worked. I mean, it's crazy. Like, you just try it, see if it works. That's, you know. So I just have to say, order some Orgone on the internet, and you know, my husband got it for me for Christmas. It was late. I think they were harassing the guy, lost his order. He was a great gentleman though. He sent me all my order again and extra, and I was so inspired by that kindness that I sent him back a message saying, you know, thank you, and I don't mind the delay, and I'm gonna make some Orgone, and I'll be sure to purchase from you again. But it just gets so addicting when you start making the Orgone, and you come up with all these ideas, and like, I'll save trash. So like these like cookie plastic things, free, but it's a mold. So if I ruin it, I could throw it away, or, you know, whatever. This, I could cut the top off, spray it with the silicone, and build like a nice, put a pole in it or something, you know. So I mean, I'd be saving trash, and you just get all kinds of, and you'll start going through life with a more creative outlook, like, ooh, I could use that or repurpose it for this. And that's what those items kind of need on the planet. I will say this though, I do clean my objects with sea salt and an energetic cleanse before I put them into the resin. And I do make sure that I am in a proper loving state. So like, for instance, if I had been in an argument or something with somebody, I won't make resin that day. I'll let myself, you know, come back into my loving state. I don't want any of that kind of weird energy. I just want it to be very pristine and loving and free and So, you know, and I sage myself. And so there are a lot of protocols that, you know, I take, but that's the thing, is researching and reading and watching videos on people on YouTube who do it, and like just trying it out. And you'll be picking flowers to take home and put in your resin, and you'll just be opening to a whole new world of creativity. And it's a nice release from all the world problems you have. Suddenly those don't exist because you're in this different mentality of just going with it, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually design my Orgone, and a friend of mine makes it for me because he does such a great job, and I can't handle the fumes, to be honest with you. Plus, I don't live in an area that has the right conditions to make it. So I'm very grateful that I found him. But I want you to talk a bit about the grid work that you're doing with it, the new Atlantis Grid, and also can you bring into your experience how you and I ended up getting connected, because I think it's a really cool story. Basically, we've been doing our own grid work separately, and I'll let you tell the experience. How did you just first start off with the new Atlantis Grid, and then how did I come into that, and how did you come into my grid?
Yeah, well, you know, a good resource is prepareforchange.net. Cobra has a lot of good resources on there, or articles, things like this. We Love Mass Meditation also organizes a lot of the meditations that site does, with the time breakdowns from, you know, like different time zones. But, you know, I really resonated with his stuff, and they're working on a Sintamani grid across the planet. And Sintamani is a stone. There's a couple different myths behind it. It's a very interesting stone, you know. I mean, all crystals are, you know. But the Sintamani, it's a stone that's said to be pure light that comes from the Sirius star system. And it was a planet that had exploded. Well, when I got this Sintamani on Christmas Day, when I opened the box, I didn't know I was getting it for Christmas, you know, but when I opened the box, I thought, I had this like rush, this feeling of like, and it was so subtle and loving, but I had this feeling, this sensation of maybe that you only get when you get married or have a baby or find out that you're pregnant, or, you know, those few little moments in life where you get those like awesome, just like, you know, this is it, right? You know, this is what you're here for, you know? And I got this Sintamani, and I just felt so loved, and like I hadn't seen or felt this energy in a very long time. And it was energy that I was familiar with and that I knew. And I thought, whoa, that's intense. And I even cried a little. And I thought, wow, I've never had like a crystal stone like make me cry, you know. And I remember once I was younger, and I had to have this one really expensive wand at this psychic fair that I went to. My grandma bought it for me. I begged her for it. She was so sweet. She bought it for me. I've always thought about this crystal that I bought, that it was mine in a past life or in a past timeline or wherever. And I thought, wow, what if I and my crystal found each other? And then I thought of writing a book. And I should get on writing this book, but you know, anyways, it's just very interesting because the Sintamani grid people are working on all over the world, and there's goddess vortexes all over the world, and people are doing the goddess spiral meditation. And I just feel as though being a mother and a woman, and I really wanted to work on this and work with the Sintamani and the mass meditations and all of this, you know, and it fit right in line with everything that I was kind of doing. And I really liked the message of peace and unity of the meditation. And so I participate on those, and a lot of them happen during astrological alignments, so that you can harness the power of the planets in the universe and use that energy or that science, you know, that we're just kind of learning about, you know. And so I actually had bought quite a few Sintamani. I bought about, I think 6 or 8 Sintamanis, and the gentleman was so nice. He sent me extra Sintamanis to grid. Well, I was kind of a little discouraged to grid because I was really tired breastfeeding and everything, kind of didn't know the locations to go to grid. And, you know, I emailed the gentleman that I was talking to, and he said, well, we just need these now. The grid needs to be done now. It's important. And I thought, I'm on it. So I went out and, you know, I just let locations speak to me. And I would go to these locations with the Sintamani, and you're supposed to bury them about 6 inches deep. And when you bury the Sintamani, and it erects about a 15-mile wide angelic vortex for that area. And I thought, wow, that's impressive. I want to work on that, right?
Mhm.
I want to help angels and us and be part of that and you know, see what happens. And then as time progressed, you know, you run out of Sintamanis. Every time I go plant these Sintamanis, though, an interesting synchronicity would happen that was just undeniable. I mean, it was like confirmation from the universe, the cosmos, the omniverse, God, source, whatever you want to call it. It's like you're doing the right thing, one for the team, you know? And I would bring my Tibetan bowls with me, and I would ding in the location, and I like to also bring like a food offering, like an orange or an apple or a banana or something. And I like to leave that on the spot, you know, after I do the plant. And when I was breastfeeding, I loved to breastfeed on the spot. So I would get my daughter out and breastfeed her to hone in that goddess energy right where the Sintamani was. And you know, to several of these locations around here, and each time, man, it was just very profound, the synchronicity that I would get. And then, you know, you run out of Sintamanis and you thought, I'm not done gridding, you know? And stumbling upon, you know, because you're still kind of curious about things and looking around, and you know, I came across, of course, we started to grid the Orgone. I always had intentions like you of selling it. And I can't believe sometimes the beautiful pieces that I've just put in the ground, the amount of money I've just like put back in the ground, but it's all worth it, you know? I see that my town is extremely more protected. It's healthier, it's better, it's great. So, you know, we planted Sintamanis, we plant the Orgone, and then I found Nancy Hopkins, and she does a lot of work with, she used to work for the military in the Army, and I think she was like I don't want to say what I think she is, because I have to go look it up. But anyways, she really was speaking about shungite, and I found shungite and started researching it, and I thought, wow, this is an amazing stone as well. A lot of these black little stones do a lot, you know, like the black tourmaline.
Yeah.
They're all right up there with that quartz, you know, and
Yeah.
what they do. And so I got shungite, and we've been gridding shungite lines, you know, around in different places. And I'll look up on YouTube, you know, to see if this angel or point connects to that one. And I really am trying to, you know, and so as I do this grid, and sometimes people are supposed to be part of your gridding, I notice. I won't have intent for them to come grid with us, but sometimes they'll pop up, and I guess they're supposed to be part of Team Light that day. My parents are a good one for that, you know? And it's very interesting because where I live over here, it's right by Tahoe. And Tahoe started to change years back. I actually got married up there, and the energy, I always remember I have to get married at Tahoe. It's this energy spot. It's so pristine. I need to get married up there. We get married up there, and then it started to change a little bit, and I thought, oh, we kind of stopped going up there, you know, being locals and everything, and just feeling the shift and everything, and the tourism kicking in and all that. We're kind of like low-key, mellow type people. And now you see that, you know, Steve Ellison's up there with the Oracle, has a house, and Mark Zuckerberg has now recently purchased 2 homes up there, and they're right by each other. So, you know, he's waiting, and he's going to get that whole shoreline. He's probably going to buy out those neighbors, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, sometimes you can feel as though, you know, they're making a break from that California, Silicon Valley area, and as if they're trying to come in up here and hide out. And I thought, man, don't do it. Don't you invade my section of the grid. So in a sense, I'm almost wondering, is this part of my grid under attack? And so, you know, I thought, I'm going to expand my grid. I don't like that you're moving up here into our area. It's so beautiful up there. Your energy is so nasty. Get away from my lake, you know? Not that it's my lake, but, you know, you as a local, you know, and you got to swim in it as a kid and receive all its healing energies, and it was all these things to you, and then to see how it's kind of changed and how civilization is sort of moving in up there, and it's kind of sad, you know.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
my answer to it is, what can I do to fix that? I always call myself like a, I don't know if some of your listeners remember this, but MacGyver back in the day. Nothing could defeat MacGyver, right? He had a tool for everything, and if not, he would find one to make it work. So I always
Yep.
call myself MacGyver. I love fixing things. I encourage people who are listening right now to, if something's bothering you at your house, fix it. Sometimes it creates another issue, but you know, it is a journey and it's fun. But my answer to, you know, the grid also is, you know, I've been trying to get my pieces out there. I haven't sold them or anything, but sometimes I'll meet like a salesperson at my door. Met this girl who was on an exchange from Norway and Estonia, and I thought, whoa, I'd love to have a piece out there, you know. So I sent her along with a piece, and I ended up just giving all my pieces away, you know, and going and putting them in the ground. And I came across you. I watched Alfred Weber. I like to call him my grandpa because he's just, wouldn't he be the coolest grandpa? I mean, shoot, I could sit there and talk to that guy forever, a couple of these people, you know. And I watched his talk with you, and I thought, wow, this lady, when she talks about her Orgone and the things that she does and the energy work and the meditation and the crystal, you know, in her hands, and I said, it sounds like I'm listening to myself and the energy work and the care that I put into my pieces. You know, not that other people don't, but, you know, everyone has their own protocol of things that they like to lace into their devices. And I thought, wow, it'd be very interesting in Canada. Wow, that's up there. I don't have a piece up there, you know. And this lady, she's doing along the lines of the same things that I'm doing, you know. And I thought, well, maybe we could connect our grids and just see what happens. And maybe we could report back to each other, you know, what we notice or, you know, any of that kind of thing. Because it's fun just to watch and see, you know, and watch the energy play and move. And it's fun, you know.
It is, and I don't know if you know this or not. I have given a lot of Orgonite away. I sell Orgonite to help keep me in Orgonite, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I have had pieces go to Alaska, Yukon, Northwest Territory, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, England, and all over the United States. So now that your grid is connected to my grid, or at least they're cooperating, now you're covered all that area as well. Because what I do is I do a process where I connect every piece of Orgonite that I've ever made with what I have now, with what I'll ever have in the future. So basically what I do is I bring in older pieces that have already been connected to all the other pieces and then reconnect them with the new stuff. And so now you've got a piece of my Orgone, and I've got a piece coming from you. And so I just think this is just the most brilliant, fantastic idea. And I think exponentially, we're making the grid even that much stronger. So I'm really, really excited to be doing this kind of work with you. I notice our time is kind of slipping by. I don't want to rush you too much, but I was wondering if we could discuss the slideshow I have a little bit at this point, or did you want to finish up with more before we go to that?
I do want to mention one piece.
Sure.
Like you said, we're exchanging pieces. I got this beautiful piece from you.
Okay, I can't hear you.
I'd just like to say that today is the new moon.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing the goddess spiral meditation to connect in your piece with my piece.
Wonderful.
So I'm excited to do that later. And I thought, how interesting that we're doing this meeting on a new moon, which is for creating and really anchoring in that energy. And then on the full moon, it prospers, you know? And so I'm just really excited to have our grids connect and us to meet and that, you know, be part of each other's journey and really get our energies out there for everyone to benefit from it and enjoy.
And they will too, whether they know about it or not. So the reason I wanted to bring in the slideshow is so that people can see some of the technical aspects of how it works. Some people will just know it works by faith and by intuition, but for the more skeptical people, I thought we could just go through this little presentation, and then when we come back after that, I want you to show people some of your pieces, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go to screen share now, and can you see that? Can you see that? Okay, Kimberly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is just the way I do it. So I hope I'm not taking it away from what you
No.
also do. But I believe that there's an incredible relationship with the orgone generators. I've got a few here, and the chakra system, which I believe is so powerful. And I believe orgone generators give you an edge. Orgone generators are also known as orgonite, and they're simple compounds which balance ambient energy by retuning electromagnetic frequencies, EMF, and geopathic stress, also called GS, into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. Orgonite also serve as negative ion generators, and they significantly boost the power, influence, and the intention of the crystals that are contained within. And to make orgonite, crystals and metals are added to clear resin or cement. And when this mixture cures, the resin or the cement shrinks, and it puts permanent pressure on the crystals and metals, which creates the orgonite. And these devices operate continuously 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever, without any external power source. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Kimberly?
Yeah, I love that, without any external power source, because I always tell people when I give them some, you know, I'm all, here's your non-technological energy device, and you look at me like, but it's very technological, you know, but it
sure is.
You know, a wire, although some people really get into it, and you know, they put radionics in it and stuff, you know. And
yeah, here's a picture of a scale of different frequencies that we're constantly being subjected to. Some of them are natural, like the visible light spectrum, but some of them are obviously very much from technology. So electromagnetic frequencies come from cell phones, cordless phones, mobile antennas, smart meters, broadcast towers, electrical security systems, and more. The higher the frequency, the greater the risk to health. For example, microwaves are very high frequency, or VHF radiation, and they can pose a significant health risk. Many cell phone towers operate in the microwave range, and there are so many reasons to grid your home and your yard with orgonite. How do you feel about that, Kimberly?
I agree. I mean, I'm in the most giant orgone bubble, and I don't know if you're experiencing this right now, but it is as if they have the frequencies on blast right now.
They do.
I've noticed when I leave my bubble, it will take quite a few days for me to come back and kind of simmer down again and relax. And I might go outside and have pain. It's, to me, it's as if they have everything on blast right now, or the atmospheric heaters, or whatever they're doing up there with their little silent war. So I mean, I have it coming out of my ears here. I have it in my fridge. I recommend in the fridge. I mean, my organic fruit lasts for 3-4 weeks in there, no mold if I don't get to it. And that's unprecedented, you know. So I put it on my dryer. I have shungite and orgone on my neighbor's power boxes, on mine. I actually got my smart meter taken off.
Oh, good for you.
And so, you know, I try to get my neighbors to put it on their devices as well, just to sort of, I don't know, blank out the system right here on this corner, I guess. But it makes a huge difference.
Oh, it absolutely does. Orgone generators absorb ambient energy and retune it into the frequency of the crystals contained within. I'm going to get into orgone in a couple slides after this. These diagrams show how energy is absorbed and distributed by a pyramid-shaped orgone generator, but all orgonite works in similar fashion, and they all transmute and amplify energy. So for instance, I use pyramid shapes a lot. I use other shapes too, But what happens is the energy is absorbed up through the bottom. You can see the picture on the left is Kirlian photography showing the energy. And the other one, I'm not sure what type of photography they're using, but it shows how it absorbs in from the bottom, it gets retuned, and then it comes out the top changed. And it's changed into something that is biohealthy, something that we can use. Our bodies know what to do with it. Our atmosphere is better. Our plants are healthier. I even have a small disc that I keep underneath my cat's bed to help her with her health. And of course, any shape really works, but I'm just using these were ones I could find illustrations for in order to do this presentation. But you can see there's different ways the energy is often concentrated, retuned, and then concentrated, you know, around the center, and then it comes out the top. So it amplifies the frequency of the crystals. And did you want to say anything about that, Kimberly?
Yeah, I'd like to touch on the point where, you know, Mike Emery, he makes Orgone bubbles, and he does it through a cement medium, and with a pole, and a little different style than some of these makers make, but his recipe is pretty amazing. And he's done things like studied how, you know, our seeds, you know, which have been heavily tainted and GMO'd and hybridized down, he's shown how they've actually reverted back to their aboriginal ancient grain form state or seed state from the restructuring of this orgone, and how the animals just come to it, and how people, I've had a real flux of people in my neighborhood lately, neighbors needing help. It's almost like my bubble's calling them or something.
Maybe.
And they'll come over here for a rub or a spray or, you know, a hug, you know, so I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, I'd have to say. And, you know, like you were saying earlier with the lightning that comes through the ground, I don't know if you've heard about Patty Greer, who does a lot of the crop circle. She was saying how the crop circles come out of the ground and not necessarily from the UFO. Although I'm sure some of the naughty military probably make some of those, right? But it was interesting because she said in those fields from the earth, you know, that it actually grows 400% more crop production. And so when you think about the power of the earth, you know, and the sun, how they feed and they water us and they take such good care of us. And all you got to do is just enjoy it and show a moment of thanks and just be thankful and love, you know, and gratitude for how hard they work all the time. You know, we get moments off here or there, but that Mother Earth and that God and that sun, whoo, they are working, and they just take such good care of us with our food, air, and water. And it's a shame that these people, these crazies, are running around contaminating everything, making it so toxic, and the bodies are breaking down. They need these devices right here, you know, you just need an arsenal to help you along. And I love to plant it with all my I'm trying to not, I mean, the dream would be self-sufficient, but it takes a lot of years to get there. So I have a lot of fruits and trees, fruit trees planted and stuff like that. But I love to throw in the shungite or the Orgone right with the plant when I plant it, so that it has its minerals and its nutrients that it needs, and some extra life force, because the planet is depleted and does need help. And we need help. And if we all work together, we will get to that common goal of healing and abundance and greatness and love, and just being able to live free as families. And, you know, so
I agree. I agree. This is a very simple type of Orgone generator here, but I'm just going to use it for illustration. So when the crystals are combined with the metals and the organic resin, they become electrically polarized, and this causes a piezoelectric effect, which greatly increases the influence and the cleansing properties of the crystals. Every crystal has its own unique resonant frequency and healing potential. Orgone generators are the perfect addition to the home, vehicle, and workspaces Further, sacred symbols can be included to fine-tune the intention. Orgone generators are ideal for gridding your home. I always ask people to grid their homes because that's where they spend most of their time, and especially their sleeping time. And so again, this one's made with a crystal quartz point, and it absorbs in through the bottom. It's radiating out on the top. And this is a mixture in here of organic and inorganic material. That's why we have the resin and we have the metal shavings. And this is just a basic unit. And then, as you were saying, Kimberly, Mike Emery, he does bubble technology and he does all kinds of fantastic things. And what's cool is it still works. It's still powerfully generating the orgone, regardless of who's making them, how they make them. And I think that it's important that we do make different kinds of orgone generators, because they all fit together as sort of puzzle pieces to the greater whole of healing this planet, healing us, and certainly healing our relationship with the planet.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is just a technical chart. Anybody can Google this stuff or do research. You know, don't just take my name, my word for it. And this is a technical aspect of orgonite and the piezoelectric effect. So the piezoelectric effect is the ability of certain materials to generate an electric charge in response to applied mechanical stress. The word piezoelectric is derived from the Greek piezen, which means to squeeze or press, and piezo, which is Greek for push. So here we've got I guess a molecular structure of a crystal, and then the next picture shows it under tension and here under compression. So whenever these forces are applied to the crystals, they become, their endpoints become electrically polarized, and now they're generating their own energy. They're their own energy source. And this is how every you know, our flash drives, our hard drives on our computer, our cell phones, they all rely on crystals under compression or tension in order to provide the energy. And look at what they can do. So can imagine what we can do, you know, for the grid. This one here is a more of a spiritual perspective on how they work. I'll just read it. Orgone energy accumulation. The resin is comprised of 5 organic compounds, and it contains feminine traits, which are sticky and receptive. And it's an excellent insulator of electricity and a collector of the unseen. And this container is the yin, or the feminine energy of the balancing. And the piezoelectric effect created by blending certain minerals such as quartz, tourmaline, cayenne, zinc, etc. with a resin that shrinks when it's cured. And of course, you can also use cement, as we mentioned. When crystals are squeezed, they send off an electrical charge, and this created electrical charge output is the yang, or the masculine energy of the balancing. Did you want to add anything from these last 2 slides, Kimberly?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to add, I like these pictures because if you think about it, I mean, we're taught how to filter our water, you know, you're taught how to brush your teeth, brush your hair, wash your body, but nobody teaches you how to clean. You could get an air purifier, things like this, you know, but this is like an atmospheric filter for your environment, you know. And we're so concerned about filtered water. I mean, and you can apply these to water to neutralize and charge your water. It's amazing. I've done tests too where I'll mark bottles of water like A, B, C, and I'll charge one with one, and I'll leave one that was just not anything. And then I have my family do like taste tests, you know. And these are ways you can experiment with the actual orgone and see for yourself, you know. Just don't read about it. Just be like, I'm going to do the taste test, right? And they'll pick that every time, the orgone water, the shungite water, every time over the regular water. The body knows. You don't even mentally have to, like, I mean, it is the intent good to believe or research it out, but I mean, the body knows what's good for it, you know, and what it's been lacking, you know. And so filtering the environment and the spiritual cleanse, you know, we're not ever taught those things, you know, so. I also like, you know, the piezoelectric effect. To me, these are almost double piezoelectric affected because crystals are actually created from that intense heat and that pressure in the earth. And so to me, you know, it's already been through, you know, its life's been created. And to me, they're a being, you know, the crystal is actually a living life form, you know, so to me, it's like a crystal friend, like an actual, you know, like you would be my friend. And so I like that aspect because it's almost like doubling the energy, doubling up in this world, you know, and so I really like that part of it.
And I want to add just one more thing. Sorry, go ahead.
You know, and then another interesting little quick note is David Wilcock actually brings up a point about this this gentleman who had this device that could actually see the vibration, or I'm going to call it the being, but the vibration in the crystal. And this guy had a crystal in his pocket, and this machine was picking up the energy signature within the crystal, and it was bouncing back and forth from the crystal to the gentleman, back and forth, back and forth. When it noticed it was being watched by whatever X-ray device over here was watching it,
the
vibration went, sat in the crystal and sat still till it thought it wasn't being watched anymore.
Oh, fantastic.
It's very interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was the gentleman who created for the CIA the lie detector test. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure he was the man responsible, and the way they wanted to use the lie detector he didn't like, so he went and created some other technique. Well, it was this. And I thought, wow, that's just phenomenal. I really like that, you know, so.
And I think the earth itself is a giant orgone generator. Think about it. It's full of metals and crystals that are under pressure. It's got layers of organic and inorganic. But what happened is when technology, especially modern technology, came about, the natural or the Schumann Resonance, Google that if you're not familiar with it, not you, but the viewers. The Schumann Resonance was interfering with the cell phone and the other technology transmissions. So they boosted the artificial man-made frequencies over 1,000 times stronger than what they needed to drown out the earth. So now the earth is erupting and shaking and having all these things happen. Now, I think some of them might be, you know, the military industrial complex experimenting with their toys, but I think some of this is the natural reaction to having that beautiful frequency dummied down and overlapped with. And later on in this presentation, I'm actually going to show you a chart that shows you the different frequencies of the planets, because they also are all a part of this. It's a huge, big picture. I'm just going to carry on here a little bit. I've got some examples of some different shapes of orgone. This is a piece here, the second one down, that beautiful, beautiful piece. I can feel the energy just from the picture that Kimberly made here. But just to show you that there's so many different ways of using it. But every orgone generator produces orgone energy, and this energy has been known by different names for centuries, and by many cultures all across the world as chi or ki. And in Sanskrit, it's expressed as kundalini. Indian yoga adepts call it prana. And in Western cultures, we call it etheric or 0-point energy. We also sometimes call it universal life force. And chi energy is omnipresent, photonic energy, and it gives birth to space-time itself, its matter content, and all the living organisms in it. This is energy of cosmic origin and does not originate in our bodies, but the body receives and transmits this energy through our chakra system, and so it manifests itself physically. And here I have a picture of the chakra system. We've linked them to colors, and I'll show you why in the next slide. They represent the 7 chakras, and chakras send and receive photonic energy. They serve as wheels and they serve as gates for our biophotonic energy system. And these must be free-flowing in order to ensure health and well-being. Kimberly, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm good. I agree, yeah.
So I know I'm getting into a lot of technical, but there are some people who don't operate from the heart. They still operate from the mind, and they kind of need to see this in order to really get the gist of how important your mission is and how important my mission is. So each chakra responds to a specific measurable energetic wave pattern called a frequency, and each of these frequencies have a measurable bandwidth. Each chakra energy center supports a different part of the body and area of well-being. So here we've got this solfeggio, I always have trouble saying that, scale and the chakra system. So this is the scale and the hertz. This is in sound measurements, what the different frequencies are, and they are perfectly in line with supporting the different chakras. So I thought it was very interesting that these frequencies support the chakras, and also just to show you that the chakras are very much alive and energetic. And this one here is another way of affecting the chakras. This is a frequency color chart. So isn't it interesting that each of our chakras respond and correspond to a different color wavelength? And then the root chakra, which is like the red end of the spectrum, these are longer, lankier wavelengths. And then as we go up in color frequency, it gets shorter and with quicker oscillations as it goes along. What's really interesting about this is crystals. They do emit frequency, but they also are color coordinated. So say, for instance, we want to work on a certain aspect of our health, we would choose crystals with a color that corresponds because it's in the same energetic family. And I guess you probably also know this, Kimberly, but even foods, like for instance, if you want to support your third eye chakra, eat blueberries. Isn't it amazing that our world, full of natural technologies, gives us things that show us what is good for different ailments, how we can heal ourselves, just by going to specific colors, just by going to specific sounds. I mean, really, getting a healing is about as hard as falling out of bed. And this is all just to lead up to the actual chakras. And I'm not a chakra expert. I just got these charts off the internet. But on the left-hand side, what I recommend people do is pause the show here and really take a look at this chart or download your own charts, because it has each of the chakras. It has the symbol that is in Sanskrit that's associated with it, the color that's associated with it, where on the body you access it for healing, the functions in non-physical terms, everything from energy, compassion, communication, and all the related physical systems. They're all tied in together. And so our orgone generators, because of the crystals that we use within them and the way they work, they're actually helping to improve our health by making our chakra system more powerful. And our chakra system is linked into the meridian system. So the chakra system, although it tends to originate, the information tends to originate from India and in that area, say Southeast Asia, the meridian system is part of traditional Chinese medicine. And the meridian system, the chakras drive the meridian systems, which are accessed for healing during acupuncture, acupressure, reflexology, those type of healing modalities. And this is just kind of a clock here showing all the different meridian systems and how they can help to improve your health. So the chakras open the gates to the meridian systems and supply energy to corresponding areas of the body for health. Your chakras are energetic, your meridian systems are energetic, orgonites are also energetic, and therefore they're great tools for improving your personal chakra and your meridian systems. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, actually, along the way, along the lines of the solfeggio frequencies, on my learning journey, I came across, because I put the solfeggio as well into my orgone pieces.
So do I, yeah.
But I also came across, I also programmed the numbers 0 through 9 into it as well. But I came across some interesting work. I don't know if you've heard of Grigory, it's a Russian name, so it's Grigory Grabovio. Have you heard of those numbers, Grabovio numbers?
No, but I believe they're probably, you're going to tell us, are part of the same system of healing.
Exactly. It's basically
all
the
energy.
frequencies with numbers. And so if you're suffering from some sort of healing element, there's these, just like the frequencies with the solfeggio, you know, there's these number codes for certain elements. And I'd have to say, I thought, oh, wow, all these numbers for healing codes, you know, and one day I chose several different codes for some problems that I have. I wrote them on my leg. I drew a triangle around it, went about my day and thought, 15 minutes later, you know, I had forgot about it and my leg started tingling. I'm like, what the heck's my leg tingling for? You know, and I thought, oh, I wrote those codes on my leg.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I would recommend people looking up some of those codes, you know, and James Rink actually has a device. It's the Neo Technological device. And that has and works with the Grabovio frequencies as well. And it's radionics. And so I like to sometimes cater to certain pieces. I'll go look up certain codes, or my family members, if they're like, oh, my gout's acting up, or my hip, or whatever it is, you know, I'll go look up this code, and they're like, you're so silly, and I'll write a code, and I'm like, put it in your wallet and send them on their way. And so, you know, but I have to say, the key is just keep at it. You know, one time isn't going to fix all your problems. You know, it's the consistency, the intent. It's almost like it takes 21 days to build a habit. So it's probably going to take, I don't know, 28, 30 days to retrain yourself to do something else, you know. And so it's not just pick it up once, put it down, pick it up twice, put it down. It's go have fun with it and keep doing it over and trying. And, you know, so I would just recommend with those solfeggio frequencies, those Grabovio frequencies, it's Grabovi. And Grigory, he spells like the Russian way, like Girgori, I think, not Gregory American, you know? So just wanted to add that though. I like that. My pieces as well, or if, you know, I'm not making a piece, but someone's hurting, I'll go look that up and, you know, get the code for them. And
I agree. It takes, I think what needs the training is awareness. Our awareness becomes trained to pick up how to use these different frequencies, how they're benefiting. So someone, like for instance, someone who buys one of my Orgone generators and just puts it on the shelf and says, oh, it's a pretty ornament, and forgets about it, they get one kind of outcome. Somebody else who gets it and goes, oh my God, I can feel the energy. They put it in their grid. They put it with their crystals. They create some sacred space around it. They're the people who write back and say, you wouldn't believe what just happened to me. This has helped me so much. But just to show how we're part of this huge integrated system, even the planets have, each one produces, remember I told you that we have the Schumann Resonance that's been shut down by technology? Well, that is the Earth's frequency. And so each planet within our solar system also transmits a frequency. Here we have them listed. And they also correspond to our chakras. So we're connected to all the color spectrum for healing. We're connected to all the sound, different technologies for healing. We're connected to crystals and all their colors, and it's all part of the same system. The foods we eat, assuming we're eating real food, blueberries and red peppers and bananas and everything, all those colors are giving us nutrients that also support our energetic bodies, and the very planets within our solar system are also contributing. To me, this is just so much evidence that we are loved, we are supported, and we don't really have to go far to find our healing. And I just want to end up by saying Orgone generators can be made in different sizes and shapes. You may wish to add symbols and other personal items to fine-tune the intention. Now, I myself don't add anything besides crystals and metals and resin and symbols. But some people add, and please help me out with this, they add bits of their hair, or they can add fingernail clippings if they want something organic as part of the mix. It makes it more bonded to their physical body. What are some other things, Kimberly, that people can add to their orgone generators to help them fine tune it for their own intention?
I just like to think in almost like a common sense method. Like, I'll give you an example. One of the protocols I put into my pieces is I made a mix of hydrogen peroxide and vinegar. All those things have antimicrobial, bacterial, fungal applications. We use them for disinfecting on a natural level. And so I just a drop, you know, I don't dump a whole bunch into my mix or anything. Your resin won't set. But, you know, so I put some of that in, or, you know, salt, you know, because we need a nice salt content. So there's a lot of little things that I do, like bay leaf for, you know, warding off evil. I like the magnetic iron, you know, the don't like iron, and the magnetism, you know, helps to attract in all that nastiness that you're trying to get rid of and transmute and make beautiful. So, I mean, I read up on some recipes and stuff, but I don't know, just things would come to me that I wanted to add to my matrix, like the numbers of 0 through 9 and simple things that are really, some pieces I'll make particular, but for the most part, they're jam-packed with a lot of overall general applications for all to benefit from. And then of course with your pieces, you know, you can, I always like to write notes or something, you know, and target my piece or tell my piece to target me or a family member if they're needing energy or something. And so I'll write it on a paper so it's more physical and tangible, you know. I looked at the words, I wrote them down, I saw them, I read them, I felt them, I put them under the device and let it work, you know. Have that intent and that just open-mindedness. I feel like as a society, you know, when I started homeschooling my son, people are, oh, the socialness, you know, he's going to be social. And I thought, you won't be sheltered or desocialized. I mean, your kids are walking around looking at phones. Out with me, you know. And so it's just, you know, really nice to, I don't know, get out there and do it and just put your normal things and target it. I mean, if you have a family member that's, you know, going through cancer or something, we had that happen in my family, and we wrote on those pieces of paper and we targeted them. They were in a different state, and, you know, they had the surgery and recovered, but it hasn't come back, you know. And so I've seen this work. I've seen, even just if you don't even have orgone to make or get, just get a piece of shungite. The benefits of that alone are amazing, you know, or any crystal, and keep it on you, because, you know, another reason, I think it was Edgar Cayce, or I can't remember precisely who, I think David Wilcock brought it up, but, you know, women tend to live longer because we just adorn ourselves in so much gemstones.
Yes.
And so we're benefiting from those characteristics and those healing attributes of stones on a continual basis, because men don't strap up with jewelry like women do, you know?
Yeah.
And so I would recommend, you know, if you're a man, get a ring, get a stone, put it in your pocket, put it on your keychain, get some orgone, you know, write to it, talk to it. I tell my pieces all the time, you know, activate, run all protocols now. I'm sending love into the grid. This is what I want for the day, you know, and just speaking to it. It's my friend out there, you know. It's a creation of love and energy and solidifying, you know, the change that we want on this planet. And the more people do that and that work with those energies, it shows people out there, you know, in the cosmos, that we're not these little old humans that can't do anything for ourselves, you know, and we have a voice too, and we want the planet a certain way, and we want to be free and loved, you know. And it's just,
while you were talking, I was thinking too about Dr. Emoto, who writes messages on water. So people who haven't done the research on Dr. Emoto, sadly he has passed on from this realm, but he did amazing experiments with music, again, frequency and bandwidth. He did the same thing with words and how they affected water. They also affected rice and how long it kept. Kids have done experiments with that. And so we know there's an interreaction. The field, what I would call the morphogenic, or the field that we're all surrounded in and a part of, has consciousness. And we can interreact with that consciousness. We can manipulate reality. And so like what you were saying, we can create the world we want. It's just that we've been brainwashed into thinking we're these small victims. Oh, we have to rely on these experts to tell us what to do because we can't even wipe our own butts without their help. Well, I'm sorry, that's not true in my reality. We are powerful, we are sovereign. And with that happy note, I want you to show us some of your unique pieces.
Okay, well, a lot of these, lately I've been working on, you know, when I first started baking, it was a lot of randoms and learning and gridding by cell towers and lakes and rivers and streams and that kind of thing. And messing up pieces, you know, you put too much of this in, you get all
Yeah,
excited.
you ruin more than you keep, for sure.
So, you know, but, and then I got to making pieces that were more profound for people's certain birth dates, or I had a friend get married and, you know, I made a piece on her bridal shower day because all the women getting together and that fun woman energy, you know, with no men around and just enjoying each other and talking like girls. And then, you know, I did another piece on her wedding day and connected them during her ceremony. And so then I started working more on, I call them portal pieces. And these are ones that I'll do on certain mass meditations. And welovemassmeditation.com has like a lot of the meditations that I do on the certain dates. So some of these pieces though.
Oh, it's beautiful.
These are,
okay, you know what? Every time you hold up a piece of orgone, your voice cuts out. And I'm wondering if it's because of the power of the orgone generator. Just because I can't hear anything you're saying when you're holding it out. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do to fix that.
So these are like Sacred Violet Flame. These were done just recently.
Oh, beautiful.
This one and this one were booster pieces.
Oh,
Age
beautiful.
of Aquarius. So here's Age of Aquarius Part 2.
Yeah, I'm Aquarius too.
Meditation. And then about a week before, there was a booster meditation where the double vortex dragon portal was opened. And also they were trying to reactivate again the goddess vortex in Paris. And so this is why I chose these pieces for that.
So
And,
beautiful.
Yeah, I like to make them kind of showy on the bottom, even though you don't really like look at them too much. You know, they're still real pretty when you pick them out. This one was in your picture. This was the Unity meditation that happened. I think it was 8/21/2017. There was a solar eclipse in the day, and I kind of had like a solar eclipse party.
Yeah.
And I love the bottom of this.
Oh, beautiful.
But yeah, I kind of had to double terminate it. And you know, people.
I can't hear you.
You know, if people aren't comfortable using their hair, their fingernails, they could just use some of the grass or the dirt in their area so it resonates with them. Some people might feel a little weird or uncomfortable about that, but I love just getting cheap molds and stuff. Here's a plate.
Oh, nice.
It's as big as my head.
Yeah. Well, you could sit while you're on the computer and put your feet on that, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I put, this one's shungite and black tourmaline.
Yeah. Beautiful. Just beautiful.
In it. So one thing I forgot in an email I sent to you is Mike Emery uses magnets in his pieces also. I do like to use the magnets, and the more magnet you use, it will actually, you could stick a magnet on here and, you know, benefit from it. But I mean, we put these under my fruit bowl. I have one under my car for road rage.
Awesome.
Yeah, and to protect me while I'm out. But, you know, you'll start seeing and thinking of all kinds of things that you can match up in your resin and all this nice energy work you could do. Let's see, this piece right here. This piece was made on my daughter's birthday. It's a turtle. I got his little arm. It fell off, but this piece goes with the Las Vegas to Reno grid. that I did with my family on the way back. And, you know, the turtles just, you know, for us to be strong and have fun, because turtles are so sweet and innocent. And I just wanted to keep that through life. And, you know, you can make your pieces for certain people. These are my first pieces that turned out really nice.
Oh, beautiful. I can't hear you.
Kind of gold, the heat, when the resin cures it, turned it from silver to this like goldish coin color. But I mean, these are pretty
Yeah.
hefty pieces, you know, and they're just so fun to make. I mean,
Oh, beautiful.
yeah, I mean, you can just go to town. This is called my cosmic cell phone. So when we're getting ready to do the mass meditations to make sure we hit numbers and have a really successful outcome, this is my cosmic cell phone, actually. It has a bunch of magnetic iron. These ones were made during the January meditation on January 11th this year. And I have a couple other pieces that go to them. And I did little pieces, and those, I asked my son, should we give these out to people to hone in the age of Aquarius, or should we go grid the land? He said, let's do half and half.
Mm-hmm.
I said, all right, let's do half and half. But I do always keep a couple pieces here in the grid for the connection. But this is so I get on the phone. I'm like, hey, hey, we got a mass meditation going on. We got to hit them numbers. Where are you at? So, you know, this is my cosmic cell phone right
Oh,
here.
fantastic.
I love it. And I always put seashells in mine for water energy.
Yeah.
Because I really like that, you know. And so you could do anything. I always put the purple for the sacred violet flame, and I always put all the color rays in there. So it's really jam-packed mine, but not in like a my intent for you type of thing. It's more just all the good things jam-packed into one, and then you can target it and have it do what you would like. And I love using, I don't know if you can see this, geode is so sparkly in there. It looks like permanent water, but it's like, you see that?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. Well done.
Even if you don't believe in the energy, or I mean, just make it, have fun, create. And like you know, I only have certain times of the year where I can make it because it's either too hot or too cold.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, I mean, have fun with it.
But if people want you to make an orgone generator for them, are you available for that?
Yeah, I mean, they can always contact me on my email, or I'm also a member on Connecting Consciousness as well through my name, Kimberly Manley. So those are two ways to get a hold of me. Like I said, there are particular times in the year where I cannot make because it's too cold or hot here. So
Yeah.
those times would be locked out, but then, you know, I can make them when the weather's more suitable. Because, you know, I was trying working with several different resins, and it's hard to find one that doesn't stink and sets the way that you want. And so it's very interesting, the different temperature mediums, and not to make it sound complicated because it's not, it's just I was looking for a resin that doesn't stink so I can make it inside.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to actually experiment on myself with some cement. And you were kind enough to write out the steps for me. I'm actually Facebook friends with Mike Emery, and I'm a member of his Bubble Tech group. But sometimes they're speaking way over my head. I sort of, I'm a very, that's partly why I put the slideshow together. I'm a very intuitive person. I operate on my feelings and my inclinations and my body sensations, but you try to get me to understand the technical aspects, I'm a little slow on the uptake. So I kind of wanted to offer both to folks today.
Yeah.
And Kimberly, I hate to tell you this, but we're really running out of time. But I'm so glad you came on the show. I appreciate
thanks for having me.
Your energy, your work so much. And I'm wondering if you have an intuitive or spiritual message for humankind right now before we go.
You know, my message would just be to create and just love and be in that energy of the moment and not living in your past or your future. I know a lot of people do that. It's great to set goals. Good to let the past go. I mean, just just one foot in front of the other and just hone in that love and just have that focus and that intent for a better planet for us and our children. Because, you know, you might have lived your life already, but the rest of our families, they still got to come up in this world, and we don't want it so hard for them. And, you know, I would just say create and love and get out there and just pick up one bag of trash a week. Teach your kids, let other kids see you breastfeed in public. Let other children see you breastfeeding. Don't take them dirty looks, because after a while we'll start to change that, you know. And people need to see, you know, it's one thing if you can't breastfeed. I understand. I had problems with my first son breastfeeding. I actually had like a boob injury, you know, and so that side wouldn't make milk. But I mean, just get out there, let people see these things. Don't be afraid to show your authenticity, you know, or be afraid of what people think of you, or a boob. I mean, it's a boob, you know.
It's just a breast, for God's sake.
You know, so I mean, let people see that love, that energy, and just show this new world of what we want, and be it and live it and do it. And take your seeds. Also, I take my seeds from my fruit that I eat and stuff here. Try not to take GMO seeds by all means. But I take my seeds, dry them, and go throw them out everywhere, because I planted everywhere on my property. I'm out of land, but I'll take it to the rivers and stuff, you know, and throw my apple seeds down. And shoot, I mean, my thing is, you know, with these cities and states, I mean, how come every other tree isn't a fruit tree? I love
exactly.
We need to be planting food, you know.
Exactly.
You know, we need to be planting different food from our neighbor and trading and just kind of just living that earth and just sharing and, you know, being it really, and just doing it with an open mind and heart, you know, so our kids have something to look forward to and to give their children and their children, you know. And that's what I'm excited for, you know, is the whole change. Like, it seems so dramatic.
Whoops, you just cut out again. I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Yeah, I was just telling my son, you know, it's kind of like childbirth, you know. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, it's kind of like childbirth, you know. You have to go through this like labor pain and uncomfortableness, and that's kind of what the planet is going through right now. I think Follow Melchizedek talks about that too, you know. And it's just that little bit of pain and uncomfortableness, and then right at the end you're gonna have this beautiful baby, and it's gonna be like time stopping and amazing, and that's where we're headed as a planet and as a people, and it's going to be amazing. And I can't wait till all this rubbish is over and gone, you know, because it's just temporary, you know. It's like pulling that band-aid off, you know. But shoot, we're going to party after these people get their head out of their asses, and we get to move on with our planet and get to take it back by the reins and do what we want with it, you know. This time we have the say, and we have the power, and we have the love to drive it where we want to, because we're the heart of the universe, you know. So be it, live it, do it. That's basically it. Just hone in that motherly energy and love your kids and love your family, and just be a good person. It's not that hard. It's the golden rule, you know. Do unto others as you would have do to you. So I mean, just smile, be nice. If you don't like someone, ignore them, go away, remove them from the circle, you know. You can tell these pieces right here, you know. They'll do the work for you. You ain't even got to do it.
Absolutely.
That would be my basic message. And, you know,
that's a wonderful message, an absolute wonderful message. And of course, down the road, I'm wondering if you might like to come back. We can talk more about all of this. I know we packed quite a bit into one show, but I felt it was really important. A lot of people are not really familiar with orgone generators, and also with grid work, planetary grid work. And when you Google orgone, you're going to get as much information against it as you are for it. And so people get really confused. So we work with it all the time. And so glad that we could come together and we could share this information. So I am going to end the show now. Thank you so very much. I'm going to get this up posted today. And then we'll talk more. Let's keep in touch. And we'll talk more and hopefully do another show
Yeah,
if that's okay with you.
sounds
Anyway,
amazing. I had a great
yeah.
time. Thank you for
I
having me.
wish you just the best life. People like you really, really inspire me. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you inspired me. I just seen you and was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm listening to myself. I have to like meet and talk to this lady and
Wonderful.
just, yeah. So
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you reached out to me. I really am. So take care and much love to you and your family. And we'll talk
thank
soon.
you. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Splendor into endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul, I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play. It's okay. It's okay.